He was a brat, and he went to Fordham for 1 year, and then he got into University of Pennsylvania. I guess he had somebody to take the exams.
No way.
And
he had somebody take his entrance exams?
SATs or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
I even remember the name. Albert, I did his homework for him.
I'm highly educated. I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I was a very fine student.
I've also heard I was first in my class at the Wharton School of Finance. And I used to say, excuse me, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I said, excuse me, does that mean we're not going to make things anymore?
Well, we all remember how Citizen Trump perpetuated the birther lie about President Obama. He also questioned President Obama's intelligence, telling the Associated Press that he heard that Obama was a terrible student and he should show his school records. A few days later, the headmaster at Mr. Trump's own high school got an order from his boss to find Trump's school records and help bury them.
I am providing the committee today with several documents, copies of letters I wrote at Mr. Trump's direction that threatened his high school, colleges, and the college board not to release his grades or SAT scores.
For decades, Donald Trump has claimed he was at the very top of his class at Wharton School, describing himself as one of the most gifted students the institution ever produced, instantly recognized by professors for his brilliance. But inside those...
bragging in no shortage of degree about how smart he is and also his educational bona fide. They spoke to an admissions officer who was there at the time named James Nolan. He says the acceptance rate in 1966 was at 50%, and it was even higher for transfers like Donald Trump, who went to Fordham first. Nolan also told the Post he was not impressed with Trump's intellect. I certainly was not struck by any sense that I'm sitting before a genius, certainly not a super genius. It was not very difficult to get into Wharton.
And for more than 3 decades, Kelly told his close friend Frank DePrima the same thing whenever Trump's name came up. Not occasionally, not once, repeatedly. Kelly said Donald Trump was the dumbest student he ever taught, not one of the worst, the single dumbest, and he said it consistently for 30 years. That matters because repetition over decades is not emotion. It is judgment.
By Trump saying it was the hardest school to get into, I wanted to see if that was true. It is not the hardest school to get into. This was the undergraduate school of finance at the University of Pennsylvania. At the time Trump went to University of Pennsylvania, the acceptance rate was more than 50%.
Stephen Colbert later highlighted this testimony, which traces directly back to DePrima, who publicly repeated what Kelly had privately said for years. Multiple outlets reported the account because the details were specific, the timeline was clear, and the comments long predated Trump's political career. This was not partisan commentary. It was a professor's professional...
What's different here is that Trump has said he's done so great. Hardest school to get into, super genius stuff, that he'd heard he was first in his class. None of that was correct. In fact, the dean's list of 56 top students does not include Trump's name.
What makes Kelly's evaluation difficult to dismiss is that he explained his reasoning. He told DePrima that Trump entered class acting as if he already knew everything, that he showed no interest in learning ideas that conflicted with his existing beliefs, that he could memorize enough to pass exams but failed to apply theory to real-world problems. And when challenged, he deflected or blustered instead of engaging. Kelly described a student whose arrogance blocked learning itself.
The article also points out that Trump was not one of the top honorees at graduation, and he wasn't even on the dean's list. Now, a year earlier, Trump, he had this to say about Obama.
He was a terrible student. Terrible. He went to Occidental. I heard he was a terrible student. Not like, okay, I heard he was a bad student.
For anyone raised to respect academic judgment, a professor who taught for 31 years and remembered one student as the worst among thousands was not expressing a grudge. He was issuing a conclusion. When Philadelphia Magazine examined Trump's Wharton records, they found his name absent from the 1968 dean's list. He was also missing from the honors section of the commencement program, meaning he did not graduate with academic distinction. One claim says top of the class.
Well, Donald Trump has said for years that he is the top student at Wharton. Whenever people have questioned his intellect, he's referred to getting a degree, said it was the hardest school to get into. So essentially I wanted to see if that was true and find out what exactly happened in getting into Wharton.
And here is the detail that makes this story unavoidable. Kelly formed this opinion long before Trump was famous, repeating it in the 1970s when Trump was a local developer, in the 1980s and 1990s when he was a celebrity, and into the 2000s before any presidential ambitions. Kelly told DePrima that Trump's problem was not raw intelligence, but an inability to accept correction. In a business school built on learning frameworks and applying them to unfamiliar problems, that flaw is fatal. Records do not change retroactively. Professors do not revise decades of judgment after death. And confidence